Hello, everyone, and welcome to I Am Not Okay with Day. I am your host, Day. And today, y'all, it's rough. It is a rough day today. Full transparency, I don't even know if I'm gonna actually release this episode. And a big reason for that is because I don't know if I'm ready to record this, but I am pushing myself to, and that might be a bad idea or a good one. I am unsure. We'll see how this turns out. But just given the circumstances, I think now is the best time to record it. However, I just don't know. So bear with me. This episode is going to be a little bit different in that we're not going to have the regular segments. I'm just going to talk through some things that I've been feeling. Um, and I don't know. I don't have a way to tie everything up. Usually, like, I have a plan in the podcast and I have like a purpose and how I want to, the main goal and what I want to do and say and how I want to wrap it all up. And truthfully, I just don't have that today. But I didn't want to not record for that reason because the reality is sometimes you just can't wrap things up all nice and, you know, move on, put a bow on it. And so I'm coming to you in my most probably my most vulnerable state, honestly. I'm in a very vulnerable state at this time. And this is hard. This is going to be really difficult, but I think it's necessary, which is why I'm here doing this right now. And um, hopefully the point comes across. So, where to begin? Y'all, where to begin? I've been thinking about in this episode, just this episode, and where to begin. And I think what I've been coming up with is just kind of like maybe a picture of just the last like 8 years of my life. I was gonna say the last 3 years, since the divorce and everything, things have been hard. But really that's not true. Things have been difficult for the last 8 years. I would say pretty much since I got married, things have been really, really challenging. And I don't know, I've gone through so much. I mean, I suffered a lot in silence in my marriage. Nobody knew the level of suffering that I was experiencing. I myself was in denial and very avoidant of just the suffering. And, I would have moments of being in reality when honestly I wasn't even trying, but like moments when I couldn't avoid the reality and I would just break down and I would beg and cry to the Lord, like, just please fix it. Um, and it didn't get fixed. Um, and it was really, really hard. Um, and then I got divorced, and that in some ways was an answered prayer because I was able to get out of something really unhealthy and not okay. However, it also still came with a lot of suffering. It was still really hard. And, you know, right around the time of the divorce is the time that I had decided, okay, like I'm going to be intentional about healing. And I did not know what I was getting myself into, yo. I did not know what I was getting myself into. I I knew it was going to be hard facing the truth. However, I guess I didn't really know how hard it was going to be till I was in it. And so embarking on that healing journey was the hardest thing I've ever done because I had to really face all the suffering that I had been through and all the things that came with that and really confront it and feel the feelings. And it was hard. It was, I mean, hard. Saying things are hard even just feels like an understatement, but there's just no other word for it. And so there were many moments when I thought, how am I going to get through this? Like, I have no idea how I can. But what I will say is, in those moments, my faith that things would get better existed. It was like I theoretically knew that, okay, this suffering is going to be for a time, but it will be over eventually. I know that when it is, like, I'll come over on the other side. And so that thought, that hope honestly kept me going. Um, and just knowing that, okay, this isn't going to last forever. But the thing is, like, when you're in it, when you are deep in it, it feels like it's going to last forever. And so those were the moments that was just like so difficult, and I got through it. Um, and so these last 3 years of me healing myself, it's been a whirlwind. I've had the lowest of the low, okay? And then I've had high highs. Like, I would say the first year after the divorce was very difficult. Um, it was maybe more pain than not, you know, but things got better. Things started to improve going into the second year. They were still hard at different points, but I guess like the initial trauma response or trauma of it all, the reaction was not as strong because um just time had passed and I was in at least a healthier environment that allowed me to do that healing. And so things had gotten okay. They were they were getting good. I had my community. I got my new job at that time and I was, you know, um, things were looking up. And then with the new job and the new transition, it triggered a lot of the trauma. And so that was another challenge and worked through it and got through it. And then, the new job starts and things come up, and it's been just really a roller coaster of emotions where some days things are so hard. And then sometimes they're okay. And then sometimes they're great. And I'd say like 2022 was probably the best year in the grand scheme of things because I think it started off hard for sure. But it really picked up and things were getting better. But again, life is a roller coaster. So it would get good and then there would be triggers you know, but I would say for the most part, more good than bad in 2022. And, right around the time when things feel like, oh, wow, they are turning around, boom, life happens and it gets hard again. And I would say ever since November of 2022, it's been hard. We went down on like a downward, you know. things just became work at the time was so challenging. And then I didn't have, I wasn't coping well. And then, the Christmas holiday came. I talked about this in the first episode back, and, lost my grandma, then lost my job. And, where I left off with y'all is I got a new job. And, with that transition, there's been a lot of triggers once again. I learned that transitions in general are very triggering for me. And change is not particularly bad all the time, but transitioning from one to the next is really difficult for me to navigate. Anyway, it was hard, but then I also started coming around to, okay, getting used to the new everything. And financially, I was not in a good place. And, I was going back and forth with the Lord too. And then I started trusting in him, and it was really good. Like, I feel like I had a sense of peace. And then things started getting good again, y'all. Things started getting good. Things started getting really good. Really surprising things happened, and it was unexpected and amazing, and everything I never imagined it could be. And then life was life in. It is life in right now. Um, and now we're in a downward again. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm in a down I'm in a downward trajectory, I guess. I don't know. I'm definitely in, I would say, a depressive episode right now. Um, and it is really, really hard. And I mean, all I can do at this point is take it day by day, because I genuinely don't know how I'm getting through these days, y'all. I'm not exaggerating. It is hard. Anyway, as I was just thinking about my life and where I'm at right now and feeling the feels, and I was really thinking, I guess everything just brought me back to my relationship with God, In this depressive episode I'm currently in, I started to feel things I never felt before. Um, and it scared me a little bit, because I was like, what does this mean? And I think my past self would have not given myself the permission to go there, but I was in a place, honestly, where I didn't even care. I was like, no, we're going to go there. And go there we went, y'all. And that's what I want to talk about today, because I think this is something that people can relate to. And I actually was listening to a podcast about people going through very similar struggles. And that's one of the things that gave me the permission to even feel my feelings. And I thought to myself, well, like, if that helped me, how much more potentially could I help, someone listening? And so I guess the whole point of this episode is just to let y'all know that if whatever I share next, if this is something that you're also going through, just know you're not alone. It is okay. And I'm right there with you. So let's go there. The thing that I started feeling was a lot of anger. Now, when I got divorced, I definitely had anger. Don't get me wrong. Um, I had a lot of anger toward my ex in particular, and that was easy to do because, that's what happens. A lot of times when you're in if you're in a relationship, it ends, and if it ends badly, it's easy to be mad at that person. However, I was angry at God too, but I didn't allow myself to be angry at God, truthfully. Um, that's not the first time I've been angry at God. Truly, I think I've been angry at God. I think I started to feel angry at God 8 years ago. But again, I did not let myself feel those things because I felt like, I mean, I don't even, it wasn't even an active thought. I didn't think I could. Like, I didn't think it was allowed or something. What I know now as I look back is I was scared to be angry with him because I didn't want to leave him. Like, I didn't want to not have him in my life. And I was scared that if I let myself go there, what if I'm going to not want to be around him and like want a relationship with him anymore? But this time around, I could not escape that anger. It really um engulfed me. And so I said, yeah, let me feel this. And what I realized is I've been angry at God for years, y'all. It's crazy because like all the anger that I had that I kind of like stuffed away in this most recent situation, it's like it just triggered it. And now everything, everything is coming up, every single thing. Like how sometimes there's this, people joke about like when you're in arguments with your partner or something, and all of a sudden you're talking about, and back in 2010, you didn't do this, and like you're going back. That is me. That is what I've been going through with the Lord, honestly, because I've recently just been experiencing a level of pain very similar to the level of pain I felt throughout my marriage and toward the end, especially. And honestly, y'all, I felt abandoned by God. I did. I felt like God did not care about me. I felt like he was just not there. I felt like I was all alone. I did all the things and he just left me, you know? You know what I felt like? I felt like Jesus when he was praying and all the disciples fell asleep and he had no one. And he's like, man, really? Y'all couldn't even be there for me? That is what I felt like. I have never felt so alone and lonely and isolated in my life. Like I felt very disconnected from God because I felt like I didn't already went through all this mess. I prayed to you years ago to help me fix this issue, and you didn't. And now I'm praying for this other thing, and you're not answering that either. And I'm doing all of these things, and I'm trying to have this faith. And what is the result? You just left me. I didn't even ask for this. Like, I didn't ask for any of this. I have tried so hard to do the right thing. And why? I found myself asking God, why? Why would you do this to me? Why did this have to happen? Why did I have to go through all of that? Like y'all, I went real dark, okay? I was full on being Job, okay? I was very much on my Job stuff, okay? I felt like Job too. I done lost every single thing that mattered. I was like, everything sucks. I have nothing. I have no one. It was bad. Um, and sometimes it be like that. Sometimes things are horrible, and you really do feel like you're alone. And it feels like the suffering is never ending. I think that's the thing for me. Like, I guess before this, I felt like I finally had gotten to a place where I was at peace. And I guess I let myself be at peace and just like be happy and not worry. I think I really did give it over to the Lord, but it's like as soon as I started doing that, then then things really got bad. And then I was like, it was like immediate regret, kind of like, why did I do this? Why did I let myself? And I didn't pray for a whole week, y'all, which that sounds kind of crazy. That doesn't sound like a long time, I guess. For me, it's a long time. Although I was still reading the Bible. This is funny. I was like reading the Bible and then I would get mad. I would read the Bible. I'm like, I'm not praying. Like praying just felt too intimate. It felt too like, God, like you don't even get to hear from me. Okay. Because this is how mad I am right now. uh, I don't know if y'all have ever had these experiences with the Lord, but sometimes you're just mad, you know? And it's like a regular relationship. Like, you know, you be mad with your partner, you don't wanna talk to them, but you'll cook them their food. It's like that. And, I've been having a hard time because I still feel like, "What are we doing, God?" Like, "What are we doing?" I am having a very hard time with what is happening at this time and why things are still this difficult for me and why God is allowing certain things to happen to me. I am. But the other day I listened to some music. That's one thing. I've been so resistant to praying and to hearing. I was like, don't talk to me about no encouragement. I don't want to hear no Bible verses, no promises from the Lord. I told my friends, like, right now I can't. Don't try to encourage me. Do not tell me this. I cannot hear this today. Because, like, that is how mad I was too, like, I can't hear "Keep holding on." I can't hear, "God knows how much you can bear." No, because why? Why do I have to bear the hard things? Like, why do I have to go through hard lessons in order to be a better person? I feel like I didn't learn all the lessons I need to learn, okay? I feel like I've been through so much where I can learn. I think I can learn a lesson without going through some really hard thing, Lord. That's what I'm saying. Is this really a necessity? Is this pain a necessity at this time? And God said yes. And I was mad at it even more. Ugh. Anyways, so I was very resistant to a lot, but one day last week, I had a presentation I had to do and I was really struggling. Like I did not feel prepared. I just was not in a good headspace. And so that morning I prayed. God's probably just looking down at me laughing because I was like, okay, Lord, I'm really mad, but also I need help. Because where I'm at right now, like your girl can't do it. So I need help. So please help me. And that's it. And he did, as he always does. But as I was on my way, I was trying to calm myself down. I was trying to, you know, fix my head, get into as good of a headspace as I could in preparation for this. And so what I did was I put on some Christian music, and the song that came up was Just for Me by Kirk Franklin. I don't know if y'all have heard it. Listen to it if you haven't. It really got me through. And in the song, it says he keeps on making a way just for me. And it talks about it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel great. Growing never feels good. But if necessary, pain is the ingredient for change, even when life may be bittersweet, it's worth it for me. And the whole song talks about many things like God has done just for me. He's allowed all these things to happen. He's done certain things. There was something about the song that just hit me. I think it's the just for me part specifically because all of us are individual people and we all have unique traits to us. And God knows each of us. And it's that same cliche thing that I was not trying to hear, but like the truth is, God knows me better than I know myself. And He knows He has curated and planned. And even those things that He hasn't planned, like even those things where I've made the choice and He's working with whatever choice I have, He still has these specific plans and things just for me. And it's the suffering and the pain that will get me to the best place I need to be. It will be the thing that saves me, specifically me. And I guess it just reminded me that God does love me and that He didn't leave. And I did a thing I always do to my clients, which is let me look at the evidence. Where is the evidence to support the fact that God has abandoned me? And when I really broke it down, what I realized is He hasn't. I mean, even in the last solo episode I had, like, yo, I have not had enough money to pay for my bills since February of this year. That is not an exaggeration. I have needed to ask, well, maybe since March. Yeah. And we're in May right now. I have not been able to pay my bills on my own. I have not had enough money to survive. I haven't. But somehow I am. Somehow I've survived. I'm not homeless. Somehow every day I have food to eat. I still have really great supports in my life. And that's God, you know? I There has been so much uncertainty, it still is. But God has made a way continuously, even in my growth, you know, the turnaround time, I think. Like this really hard, I guess, chapter season started a few weeks ago. And the fact that I've been feeling my feelings, which has been really horrible. But I've been feeling my feelings, y'all. And the fact that I came here, that is only possible because of what God has been doing for me and because of how God has worked for me thus far. And, let me tell you that last week I prayed or cried. I don't know. I cried, prayed. And I said, God, I don't have anyone. I am lonely. I don't have anyone to support me. Like, I just need someone. I need to feel that support. Like, this is too hard. And like the next day, literally the next day, my mom reminded me that she's there, which that's the thing. When you're in these depressive episodes, you're not seeing reality. You're in a dark cloud. That is all that you see. And it is so hard to see what's really there. And so I was reminded, hey, your mom's there. My best friends have been there. And I got those reminders as well. Also, like people who I hadn't talked to in a while, new people all started like reaching out. And, you know, in those moments of like deep loneliness and sadness, God brought to me different people. And this is what he's always done. Like every time I look back, it is what he has done. And, the more I kept thinking about that evidence, the more I was like, yeah, Lord, I know. I know. I see you. Um, and it doesn't make the pain still like any less hard. Like it doesn't make this any less difficult. I mean, I guess it helps in some ways, but I'm still having a hard time. And and that's okay. I think I'm learning to embrace that two things can be true at the same time. Like I am deeply sad and I'm having a hard time. And I also have amazing people in my life who support me, and God is still with me. And this is still a really hard season. And so I guess I just want to normalize the fact that it's okay if you question things with God, and it's okay to be angry, honestly, at God. And God welcomes that. Because you know what? I was a little Miss Sassy to God, but oh, he humbled me real quick. He sure did. But he also listened. And he didn't turn me away when I came to him with that anger. And I think in some ways I'm still processing that anger. And I mean, behind the anger really is just a hurt. Um, but he welcomes it. And I feel like he and I have it's been a back and forth, and he's still here with his arms open to me. And I am really grateful for this relationship. And I think one thing this whole thing has taught me is that there's more work I need to do within my own self and within our relationship. I think the biggest thing is fully surrendering to him, which is something we've talked about before. I think it's something I'm going to keep on talking about because I'm really having a hard time. I think, you know, I've wanted to control things because that's me. It makes me feel safe and comforted. And we know control is a myth. There is no such thing. And sometimes it's like the more that you hold on to the control, the more out of control you actually are. And it's something I've done as a trauma response. But it is not helpful. And so I am really working on relinquishing that. This is me though, if you can't see in the video. I have my fist as scrunched up as how tight I'm holding on to it. And right now I'm loosening it up a little bit, but it's not all the way loosened, y'all. I'm still holding on to it just a little bit. And so I think this is the work I need to do right now between God and I is fully give over that control of what I want and what I think is best to whatever he wants and what he knows is best and what he knows is what I need. Um, and can trust in that. I think something too that's been hard is that I've had a hard time trusting in God because when I look back at all the suffering and all the things I've been going through, I feel like, how can I trust you when I've been in this pain before and you never took it away back then? Like, are you going to take this away now? Like, how can I know that you're going to do that, you know? And it's hard because all I want is for the pain to go away. And sometimes I think it'll never go away. It's just here to stay. And I just got to learn to live with it. But I think God has shown me that it's not going to last forever. It's not going to last forever. It is for a season. It's also for your salvation. This is one thing that I can say with 100% certainty. The pain that I've been through in the marriage and like as I was healing from that, it brought me closer to God. It did. I am the closest to him I've ever been. And so that's a win, truly. And even though it's so hard, I think there's more to grow, there's more to do there. And so I think I'm holding on to that right now. Um and at this time like that's all I can do, y'all. And that's all we can do sometimes is hold on to what we know for sure. I'm in the process now of doing a Bible study on waiting. I do that. Like what happens is that I start going through something and then I'm like, I need to study this more and look into this more. And so I think I'm in now a process or I guess a period of waiting. And so I started a study about that. And let me tell you, y'all, it's not exactly encouraging. Like literally this morning I was doing the study and I just like ended up bawling my eyes out at the end of it because I'm like, Lord, this can't be it. It is so hard. And we're going to talk about this in more episodes to come. Stay tuned. But in my study, it's very difficult because right now I'm reading about Moses. And oh my goodness, like Moses went through so much. And it's like I have the hindsight, the information. I'm reading the Bible and reading the story after it happened years and years ago. So I have the full picture right now and I can see, okay, well, yep, that needed to happen. So that could happen. But I just keep going back to Moses and like the children of Israel when they were in slavery and they did not have the whole picture. Moses, it took him a long time to fulfill the prophecy and the promise that was supposed to be fulfilled. And it was not an easy journey. It took a long time. It was difficult. And God still had a plan for his chosen people. And it sure did come to plan. The plan happened and it needed to happen in order for other things to happen. And it was ultimately what was best for everyone involved. And I think that is hard because sometimes you will not see how this is for the best. Sometimes it feels like it's probably not for the best at all. It's just horrible and that's all that it is. And sometimes you might go through your life without having all of the answers, which is how I've been feeling. Like I don't even know what is the point. But what I realize is just because I don't know what the point is doesn't mean there isn't one. And just because I can't see God working and I can't feel it doesn't mean he's not. think that's another thing I've been reminded of is like your feelings, they be lying to you, y'all. I've said this before. Our feelings lie to us sometimes. We cannot solely trust in them. And because if you do, you're going to be in a dark hole as I was. And so, even though I feel like God has abandoned me and I feel so alone and I feel hopeless and I feel helpless and powerless, I'm not. Those things are not true. I'm not alone. God has not left me. I'm not powerless. I'm not hopeless. There's still hope. And so I'm saying this to y'all as much as I'm saying it to myself because the truth is, I mean, I'm on the verge of tears. I've been having that lump in my throat. And I've already told myself that if I do cry, it is okay because I am embracing my tears and my feelings. I'm still sad, y'all. Like I've come to these realizations and I do trust in the Lord and my faith is still there and I'm still sad and I'm struggling. And I'm not going to leave God because He's been there the whole time. I know He's not going anywhere. And I need Him more than ever right now because ugh, this is hard stuff. But I just wanted to share my experience with that anger and that sadness and normalize that and let y'all know that one doesn't have to equal, like, anger doesn't have to equal that you leave God completely or that you're leaving the faith or that you have no faith whatsoever. And you can move forward in uncertainty and still trust in the Lord. And, you know, all of these things can be true at the same time, and it's okay. And you won't have all the answers, and you don't have to have all the answers to know that God is still working. And he is. And ultimately, we don't have the full piece. I don't have the picture right now. I don't know what the point is. I still don't. But I'm trusting in what I know. And that is that God loves me. He created me. He made me in his own image. And therefore, he has a level of love for me that is unlike any other love that any human could have for me. And therefore, he wants what's best for me. And if I fully surrender to him, I can get whatever that best is. And so I'm holding on to that. I'm encouraging y'all to hold on to that too. I hope this does encourage you. I hope you know you're not alone. And go through your process. Don't deny yourself the feelings that you have. Go through it. Bring these things to God and be open to still hearing what He has to say. And that's it for me, y'all. That's all I got. Now we're in the summer. We're coming up on summer. We're in a season where um we may not be as consistent because I'm having guests over and it's a whole thing. But I am still planning on recording more episodes, having guests on. And so we're going to go through that. Um, and until next time, y'all. Bye.